The first step while doing rotoscoping is to analyze the shot. Let's say we need to roto this bird. Okay. First, we will observe its movement. Okay. So as you can see, the main movements are in the legs and in the neck. You can see the entire body is moving, but when it comes to shape changes, it's only happening in the neck and legs. The core shape of the bird's body remains the same from start to finish. It doesn't change. If we look at this leg, it starts straight, then it it bends here, and in the end it returns to the same position at it started, the straight position. You can see start straight, bend, and then straight again. The same thing is happening with the neck also. At first the neck is stretched, then it bends, and finally it moves forwards. As for the head, its shape doesn't change. It just moves from right to left. By analyzing the shot, we get a basic understanding of which areas require more shapes and which need less. This way, when we actually start the roto process, we can work with proper planning instead of randomly using shapes. Doing this increases the speed of the workflow. Proper shot analysis before starting roto work not only speeds up the process but also helps maintain precision, ensuring you can only use complex shapes where necessary, which saves both time and effort. The next step is add more shapes and less points. When doing roto work, it's important to use more shapes and less points. Let me explain this using the bird I rotoscoped in just one frame. In the first roto, I divided the shapes properly using smaller and more precise shapes. In the second note, I used larger shapes and did divide them well. Now, I will explain why dividing shapes is important. If you use big shapes, it will be hard to animate them smoothly. More points on the shape mean that when you animate, the shape will shake a lot and won't stay stable. So it's important to use multiple smaller shapes, but not too many. The key is to understand the structure of the object you are rotoscoping. For example, with this bird, the beak is closed throughout the shot. So one shape is enough for the beak. But if the beak was open, you would need to use two separate shapes for the top and bottom of the beak. The neck needs its own shape because it's a joint area where most movement will happen. If the neck moves a lot, having its own shape will make animating easier and more accurate. Now coming to the legs part, I also divided them into separate shapes, especially near the joints, because the legs will move from there. Adding extra shapes here helps to capture that movement better. So it's not just about using lots of shapes. It's about understanding the anatomy and movement of the object you are working on. Dividing shapes properly will give you more control and smoother animation. When dividing shapes, focus on the areas with the most movement like joints because these are the areas that will stretch or bend. Using smaller, well-placed shapes will give you better results when animating and will help to keep your roto work clean and stable. The third tip is to rename the shapes. When you are doing roto, you end up creating a lot of shapes. As you can see here, I have made 24 shapes. To keep things organized, you can rename the shapes based on what area they cover. For example, you can rename the shapes around the head as head 1, head 2 and do the same for other areas. Now, why is this helpful? Basically, when you have finished your roto and later realize that a shape doesn't look right on a particular frame or needs some adjustment, renaming makes it easy to identify which shape it is. Otherwise, you will have to click through each shape to find the right one. So, renaming your shapes helps you work more efficiently and keeps everything systematic. The fourth tip is using tracking information. We will dive deeper into tracking in the next module, but for now, let me explain what tracking is in the simplest way. Tracking basically means to follow. But what are we following? In 2D tracking, we are following an object or a point in a video. When you are animating a roto shape, instead of moving it manually frame by frame, you can use a tracker node to create tracking point. I will just create tracker node here. You can see the properties of tracker node here. I will select the add track option. This will give me a tracking point. Now I will place this tracking point in the spot where I need to do roto. I will track it to the end. This point will follow the movement of an area in the video. This process is called tracking. Now I will export my tracking information from tracker. After that, I will quickly draw a roto shape. We then transfer this track movement information to our roto shape, so the shape follows the motion automatically. This saves a lot of time, as you don't need to move the shape manually. The animation happens based on the track movement. We will cover 2D tracking in more detail in the next module, and after that you will be able to use this technique effectively. Now, if you want to present your work, here's how you can do it. I have already completed the roto work in this footage. Double-click on the roto node to open its properties. Select all the shapes you have created. Next, find the blending mode option and set the operation to difference. Now press 1 and select roto. In the alpha channel, you can see the operation happening. After that, add an edge detect node. At first, you won't see anything because you need to go into the edge detect node's properties and set the channel to alpha. Once you choose the alpha channel, you will be able to see the outlines of your roto. Now, create a constant node and change its color. After this, add a merge node and connect the B pipe to constant and A pipe to the roto. Let's see from the merge node. Set the operation of merge node to mask. Go to the RGB channel and you can see your color outlines are now visible. To finalize the presentation, merge this with the actual footage. Press M, connect the B here and A here. As you can see, the outlines are now visible. Press W and export your file. Now, for the color overlay export, take the roto, then connect it with the footage. Press M, B, and A. Okay. Then copy this constant node, paste, connect the BG the constant, make some space, type pre-mult, and here we go. You can set the color accordingly. Just double press on the roto node and set the mix to 0.25. This will give a subtle color overlay effect. Now your roto presentation is ready and you can export both the outlines and color overlay.